Hello, welcome to Monday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, and to an edition that should have appeared yesterday. But with the Sudoku Puzzle Hunt coming out at the weekend, I forgot that yesterday was Tau Day. What's Tau Day, I hear some of you ask? Well, Tau Day is a bit like Pi Day. Pi Day is obviously the 14th of March each year because that's 3.14. And Tau Day is 6.28. It's the 28th of June. Now, some of you may also not be aware that there is a big debate in mathematics about which of pi and tau is the most important and which should take precedence in terms of teaching the basic mathematical concepts like the circumference of a circle. And yeah, that is what's caused Raf Coremans to create the puzzle on the screen, which rather beautifully has the symbol tau depicted with killer Sudoku cages. It really is a gorgeous looking puzzle. It also is a quite incredible puzzle because it contains all of the digits of tau in order in a circle around the grid. It's quite remarkable. Look, 6.2831853. There's a 0 here that we're going to have to explain that, and I will do when I read the rules in just a second. I mention first though that our testers say that this is a brilliant puzzle if you're relatively new to Sudoku variants. It is quite approachable apparently. It's got some nice logic but nothing terribly difficult. So if you are new to the channel and you haven't done many of these sort of more exotic Sudokus before, it should be well worth having a crack at. Now I just want to say a big thank you to all those of you who have tried the Sudoku Puzzle Hunt. It came out on Saturday. We have been inundated with correct solutions and also with some lovely feedback, and we are so delighted that you've all enjoyed it. It really, I can't tell you how much pleasure it gives us. So yeah, thank you everyone who's got back to us. If you haven't tried the Sudoku Puzzle Hunt yet, then do give it a go. It really, I think you will enjoy it, and I'll put a link under the video to the Patron page where you can access it. Now, let me read you more about this. In fact, before I get on to reading Raf Coremans' covering email, which I do want to read part of because he is incandescent with rage about tau and pi, let me just give you a very quick introduction to why I think a lot of mathematicians find tau preferable to pi. And it's to do with, you can see we've got a circle here. The radius is r, and if you move from this point on the circle to this point along the circumference and you go a distance r along this circumference, then the angle you prescribe as you do that movement is called a radian. Now the question is, how many radians would you therefore need in order to go from this point, from this line here? If you were to try and go in a complete circle round the grid, how many radians would that be? Now, if we know that this is length r, and most of us can remember our formulas from school which said the circumference of a circle is 2 pi r long, well that's 2 pi's worth of r. So if this is 1 radian, it would imply we need to use 2 pi radians in order to go all the way round. Now the people who advocate for tau say, well, that's silly. Why would it be 2 of anything? Why can't we just define the number of radians needed to go in a complete circle as equal to tau? That way, especially when we try and divide the circle up into smaller fractions, we would get much more natural results. So if we, for example, we were to go through a quarter turn, we could define that as just being a quarter of a tau, a quarter of a tau's worth of radians. Whereas if we use pi, this is pi over 2 radians to do the quarter turn. And you can sort of see what they mean. I've never really thought about this debate before, but it is quite an interesting concept. And apparently in a lot of sort of fundamental equations, you see the part of the equation will be the number 2 pi. So replacing 2 pi with a number that's, you know, just a constant that doesn't involve a 2 might for some people be preferable. Anyway, that's a bit of the background. I thought that might be interesting to some of you. Especially if you're not aware of this already. Now, anyway, let's get back to Raf's email. This is quite an amusing email. He says, a few weeks ago, you had a pi-themed Sudoku on the channel. outrageous. Pi doesn't deserve any of the veneration it gets. Pi is wrong. Pi is a fraud. Pi is nothing less than an abomination. Circumference over diameter? Bar humbug. He says circumference over radius. Now that is what makes sense. This number is equal to 6.283185307 blah 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 blah. We call this number tau. Tau is beautiful. Tau is logical. Tau is the truth. And then he shows the symbol tau in his email, which of course is what he's managed to depict in the grid. My puzzle has the first 24 digits of tau in a circle starting in the top middle square. I've also marked the centre of the circle with a 0. That's this 0 here. I've also, between the centre of and the circle, I've put the number 1 to remind us that that is the radius of the unit circle. And I think what Raf's referring to here is the unit circle, I think, is used in some of the fundamental functions of trigonometry like sine and cosine. So that's presumably why he wants this number in there, or it could be to disambiguate something in the Sudoku. But anyway, that's why he's put the 0 and the 1 in. He says there are 6 killer cages, and I have managed to depict a beautiful form of tau using these cages. Each cage consists of 6 cells, since that is the integer nearest to tau. He says digits cannot repeat in a killer Sudoku cage, and 4 of the cages have show the sum of the digits within them. So you can see we've got a 33, 27, 27, 31, but there's no cage number for the blue cage or the purple cage. So all we know about these cages is that they don't have a repeated digit in them. Now, here's the kicker. He says, oh, and there is one small caveat. All given numbers are lying. Each given number is either one more or one less than the actual number. This is true of the given digits as well as the given cage totals. For example, the 33 cage is in reality a 32 cage or a 34 cage. So, there is the fly in the ointment. Somehow we have to solve this knowing all of the clues are incorrect. As I say, apparently this is not too bad though, so do have a go at it. If you want to play the puzzle, you click on the link under the video, and with that, let's get cracking. And I guess what we do is the zeros can't possibly be zeros, so this is quite a good way of turning the 0 that appears in tau into a digit we can use in a Sudoku. We can't put -1 in, so the zeros must turn into 1s. 1s can't become 0s, so they've got to become 2s. That's a 3, so that can't become a 2, that's got to become a 4. 9, we've got 2 9s, they've got to become 8s, they can't become 10s. The 7 here can't become an 8 now, so that must become a 6. The 5 can't become a 6, so that's got to become a 4. And actually, we're getting quite a lot of traction straight away. That can only be 7 or 9. That one can be 5 or 7. That one, it's getting worse now, 3 or 5. The 7 clue can't be an 8, so that must be a 6. This has got to be 5 or 7. 1 or 3. 4 or 6. 3 can't be can't go to a 2, so that's got to go upwards. That becomes a 4. That gives us a 6 over there. This 5 can't become 4, but there's a 4 below it, so that's got to become a 6. This one's got to become... no, that's got to be a 7 or a 9. Oh, look, in the top row, we've got 2 of the same digits appearing. Right, so if we look at the 2s first, one of these must go up, one of them must go down. So they're going to form a 1-3 pair. And no, we can't resolve that. The 8s are going to be a 7-9 pair then, by the same logic. And the 6 now can't go upwards because there's already a 7 in its row in one of these two positions. So this must go downwards and become a 5. Right, so we actually are off to a relatively smooth start. Now we can do some Sudoku maybe. Look, we've got a 1 here and a 1 here. So there must be a 1 in one of those two squares and one of these two squares. Oh, and we can do, yes, we can do some nice work with the 4 here, look, and that 4, because this 4 can't repeat in the green cage. So there can't be a 4 in any of those cells. There can't be a 4 here or here, so there's only one place for a 4 in box 9. Plonks a 4 into one of these two cells. Sixes as well, look, they force a 6 into one. Oh, I haven't in fact marked that one. That's got to be a 6 or an 8. And there must be a 6 in one of these 3 squares. We do any more Sudoku? Probably can, I'm just not seeing where. 6 here and here, there's got to be a 6 in one of those two cells. Oh, yeah, look at these 3 squares. These 3 squares don't have as options 4s or 2s. So we instantly know we're going to be able to write a 2-4 pair into the top of the grid up there. So if we do that slowly, where can the 4 go in this box? Well, it's got to be in one of those 2 squares because of these 2 4s. So now, if we've got 4s there and there, there's a 4 forced up into one of those 2 cells. Now let's do the same with the 2s, look. There can't be a 2 here, here, or here. So there's a 2 in one of those cells, which forces a 2 up into one of those squares as well. So we get a 2-4 pair to accompany our 1-3 pair and our 7-9 pair. So these 2 have got to be 6 and 8, and there's a 6 here. So there's a 6 there and an 8 here. That that's 6, look. That forces this to be a 6 and this to be an 8. Now there's an 8 in one of those 2 cells. There's an 8 in one of these 2 cells. That can't be 6 anymore. And maybe we use the 31 clue now. 10. Yeah, yes we do. Look, we've got 21 already in this cage and we've got one more digit to play with. So that digit, we know this total is either 30 or 32. So it's got to be 30 because that's the only number we can get to, and we need a 9 to do that. So this becomes a 9. That locks a 9 into one of 3 cells there. Locks a 9 into one of 3 cells there. This box needs 3, 5 and 7 to finish it off. Don't know about that order yet. Okay. This 6. Yeah, we can use this 6 now. Where does the 6 go in this box? It's got to go here, because it can't go here anymore because of the 6 we managed to place in the green box. So we get a 6, that places an 8. There must be an 8 in one of those 2 cells. There must be a 6 in one of these 2 cells. And a 6 in one of those 2 cells. So these are the last 6s in the grid, this 2x2 area here. Now we can do more geometry, look. How can this square be a 6? If that square's a 6, where do we put the 6 in the central box now? Because we can't repeat the digit in the cage, so these squares can't be 6 anymore. And there's no other place for the 6 to go. So this cannot be a 6. The 6 must go there, and you can see when we place that 6, it's really nice. Now it does give us the position of the 6 in the 27 cage, and it gives us the 4 from unwinding our pencil marks, which plonks a 4 into the middle of the grid. Okay, so what? Oh, yeah, hang on, let's look at this cage, this red cage, because we've got a 1-3 pair in it. So we've now got 1 plus 3 plus 5 plus 6. That's 15 already in the cage. So this is 27. So the real total here is either 26 or 28. So these 2 squares either add up to 11 or 13. So this can't be a 7. if this is a 7, I've got to put a 4 or a 6 into this square, and neither is valid. So this cannot be a 7, it's got to be a 9. And the 9, if these two are adding to 13 or 11, they can't add to 13 now because of the 4 here, so this must be a 2. 9 is not there. This 9 gives us a 7 there, look. The 7's quite interesting because the 7 is already in the blue cage, so none of those squares can be a 7 now. So where do we put a 7 in row 2? It's got to go in one of those positions. So it's got to go in the green box. And this... actually, it's quite... One thing I've noticed about this is that this green box is summing to an even number. It's either summing to 32 or 34. But these two cells have to sum to an odd number because I'm adding an even and an odd number together. So that means those 4 cells have got to sum to an odd number. Now we know that there's a 7 and a 6 in there already. So the other 2 cells have either got to be both even, which they can't be. They can't be because I've already got 3 even digits in the row. So there can't be an 8 in here because if there's an 8, there'd have to be another even digit. So this is an 8. That's lovely. Oh, and if there's no 8 in there, the 8 also cannot live in this cell. So it must be there. This must be the 8 in box 2. There's an 8 in one of those 2 cells. So we know we need 2 odd numbers now. So one of those is going to have to be a 9, isn't it? If we try and do that with 5 and 3, we get 7, 6, 5, 3. No, we can't even get to 30. So there's definitely a 9 in here. A 9 must be in one of those 2 cells. And we need one more odd digit. So it's probably 5, isn't it? So if it was 7, 9, 7, 6 and 5 adds to 27. Yes, that works. If we try 3, 25. No, that doesn't work because I can't. If there's a 3 in one of these 4 squares, this has to then be a 1. And then we can't get to 32. So actually, this is a 5 in here to accompany the 7 and the 9. No, that one just has to be a 7 then, because it can't be a 5 or a 9. And now we're cooking with gas, because now we can delete this. This is a 5-9 pair. The 7. Oh, that means that's a 7 by Sudoku. That means that's a 5 by Sudoku. So this is going to be a 3. That means that's a 1, that's a 3, that's a 1. Oh my goodness, we are suddenly flying. This must be a 3 to complete the box. There must be... is this a 1-3 pair to complete the row? It is, which we can do. This has got to be a 5-9 pair, which we can do. This is a 9, therefore. 3 must live there. This is a 5-7 pair. There's a 5 here. We are cooking with gas. There must be a 7 in one of those 2 squares. In fact, we can look along here. There must be a 2 in one of them. It's got to go there. And the other digit is a 5, which we can place. Yeah, we're flying. 5-7. This is a 5-8 pair now. Those 2 squares need to be a 3-9 pair, which we can't do. These 2 squares are a 2-4 pair, which we also can't do. Ah, but where does 1 go in this row? This 1 here means that can't be a 1, so the 1 must go there. This must be a 7 or a 9. Okay, so we've got one here. Maybe we can do the 33 cage now. We've got 27, 28. Yes, we must have a 4 here, otherwise we only get to 30. So this is 4, this is 2, that's 2, that's 4. That's 4 now. 2 we don't yet know about. We know it's in one of those 2 squares. These 3 squares are 3, 5 and 8 in some order. That one can't be 8. And these 2 squares are 1, 2 and 7 in some order, which we also can't quite do. So probably we have to do... Yeah, probably we have to do the yellow box. So this adds to 26 or 28, and we've already got 14. Ah, okay, so this can't be 8. Yeah, this is nice. This can't be 8, because if it's 8, I either have to make this a 4, or I've got to make it a 6, and it can't be either. So this has to be a 5. This is an 8. So this is an 8. The 5 fixes that this is a 7. That's nice. So that's going to get us the 7, the 9, and the 5 on the left-hand side of the grid. Those 2 squares now need to include a 1 and a 5, which I can't resolve. These have to be 2, 3, and 9 in some order, which I can't resolve either. I hope I'm going to be able to resolve this. The 7 there, look, that forces that one to be a 2, maybe. Okay, so maybe coming back to this cage again. So we had 10, 19. We're looking for either 7 or 9 into this square to make it 26 or 28, and it can't be 7. That's lovely. So this is 9, 9, 3. Now presumably this 9, and it does, it's going to help me. It is providing the answers to everything. Wow. I must put a 7 there, and if I haven't made an error, which I can't actually type at the moment, I just need to put, what is it going to be, a 3, I think. And I think that's the solution. So this is the Tau puzzle, and it's correct. So very nice puzzle today. Not too difficult, but still some very elegant logic. I hope you enjoyed solving it. Do let me know in the comments. Do let me know where you stand on the debate as well. I'm always interested in these things. And we'll see you next time on Cracking the Cryptic.